This is the City Breakfast Show, the city's biggest conversation.
Well, it's some 29 minutes to 10. My guest is Fernando Salinas. He is the senior forestry officer from Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN FAO. He just told me off air that in the last 10 years, West Africa lost 19% of its forestry cover. Now, that's 1/5 of all our forestry cover. Why is that happening? And then, of course, we'll discuss a few initiatives meant not just at preserving our forests, but also improving our collaboration between the sub-region. Mr. Salinas, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good morning.
So you said that in the past 10 years, we've lost 1/5 of our forestry cover.
That's right.
We lost it to what?
We lost it basically to agricultural expansion, to some wildfires, and to a minor extent to some forest logging activities as well.
So all these are human activities?
All these are human activities. I mean, you may have some wildfires that are caused by natural phenomena. It may happen, but mostly they are driven by humans.
And this is across the sub-region?
Across the sub-region, across the 15 West African member states of ECOWAS.
When you take a physical map of West Africa, before you take a political map, you notice that the forests are nicely spread through countries. But when you take a political map and superimpose, you realize that, oh wow, so even this forest is shared by 3 or 4 countries or 2 countries. So how do you manage forests which are managed by different political organizations or political leadership, if you follow what I'm saying? Because if you take a physical map of West Africa, you see that the green is spreading through and then the yellow comes up, and then when we put the politics on it, you can see a forest in Nigeria and Benin, Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire. How do you manage such a situation?
I mean, that's why exactly the 15 West African countries under the leadership of ECOWAS, they developed a process that last September yielded what is called the Forest Convergence Plan for West Africa.
Okay.
And this is exactly meant to strengthen cooperation within the sub-region on forestry matters and to, among other things, tackle the deforestation problem. So this is meant to increase cross-border cooperation and cooperation on all forestry aspects of common interest.
Now that's interesting because every country has a different objective. I mean, Ghana may be interested in pursuing cocoa and will be trying to plant more cocoa trees. Cote d'Ivoire may be doing logging because they want to improve their lumbering. It's not going to be easy to converge different economic and political means to preserve our forests, would it?
Well, obviously, it's a challenge. It will not be easy. But anyway, we came to the conclusion there are enough commonalities and enough common interests that really make countries coming together as a plus, as an added value, rather than trying to solve these problems individually.
Do you have examples of any countries that have collaborated effectively on managing forests in West Africa?
I mean, there are a number of cross-border projects that are concrete examples of good collaboration. Obviously, they are very challenging. It's not easy to bring together different countries and have them cooperating on cross-border issues. But there are a few examples, and this convergence plan is meant exactly to give them a boost and to bring them to the forefront.
So share some of the examples with us. You said there are a few examples, for example.
There are a few examples. For instance, there is a so-called W Park, bringing together Niger, Benin, and Burkina Faso. So this has been a project with probably 3 or 4 years now, with the support from the European Union, and it has been internationally considered as an example of success.
Okay.
Even Ghana, I mean, now we are supporting Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire to initiate a cross-border project in the southern part of both countries. But Ghana also has developed some collaboration with Burkina Faso on cross-border issues, including exactly issues of elephant populations as well.
But why is the FAO interested in this? Because by your name, I'm assuming you are food and agriculture, and to the extent that some of the forestry is destroyed by people who want to plant food, if for want of a better word, or who are engaged in agriculture. Why are you concerned about this?
You see, our definition of agriculture actually is quite wide.
Okay.
So it encompasses, I mean, agriculture in the, let's say, in the restricted sense of, food crops, but we also cover livestock, fisheries, and forestry.
So that's the broad definition that you're working with.
That's right. And so for us, ensuring proper natural resource management is really a critical issue.
But that's an interesting thing, because on one hand you want to maintain the forest in their pure form to maintain the habitat, but then people must eat, people must have economic activity. Is there a prescribed formula for balancing those ends?
Yes, I mean, you see, forest ecosystems are dynamic entities. When we say preserve, this doesn't mean we cannot cut one single tree from a forest. What this means is that whatever you are going to cut, it should be done following some rules, so that you can offset what you cut here, you can offset it there by planting or by supporting natural regeneration. So, this is a dynamic process. And so you have to see it from a broader perspective.
Okay.
And ensure that really in the long term, the ecosystems keep their balance and their vitality.
I don't know if you've been following, but last month there was an interesting discussion about at the Achimota Forest Reserve, this forest reserve in the center of the capital, and the plan is to develop it into an ecotourism park. Some people think it's wrong because it will affect the plants and the animals in their natural habitat for human interference. But others say, look, this was an artificial forest. It was actually planted. It wasn't a natural forest. So if we're trying to now create a tourism project out of it, it's positive. How do you see such a move? Is it a good thing to
yes,
touch the forest in this way?
I think that if it is done properly, it can be a good thing. And especially, it may enable government, in particular the Forestry Commission, who is entrusted the management of that area, to have the necessary means to do, sound management.
Okay.
Because one of the problems, if you have an area, but if you lack the means to do good management, then eventually it will degrade and you'll lose it. So these are, ecotourism is a good way of balancing, a certain level of human use with the necessary means you need to generate to do proper management.
So going forward, what would you want Ghanaians to know? I mean, you said Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire have launched a collaboration, a project which is based in the southern part of both countries. So what should we do? How can we get involved on all of this as citizens?
Well, obviously, this targets mainly the local communities, those whose livelihoods are more directly affected by either cocoa or food crops or elephants. But obviously, these areas, for instance, in the case of Ghana, the Bia National Park is involved.
Okay.
So, hopefully, when things will, translate more into reality, the urban populations of Ghana will be in the position of enjoying, a nice protected area that can be visited. The same way you do now with Kakum National Park. You will be able to do it later, hopefully, in the Bia National Park as well.
Interesting stuff. All right, so you've been hearing from Fernando Salinas from the FAO, who says the move by West African governments to collaborate in managing forests is a very positive thing. Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire linking their forest reserves to protect areas in both countries is a good thing. This project was launched in Accra last month. And of special interest is the elephants. I didn't even know we had elephants in Ghana because the Ivorians had monopolized the name and they've named their national football team after the elephants. I didn't know that we also had some of the elephants from Ghana. That's very interesting indeed. That's very interesting indeed. So this project will preserve the elephants and keep them from becoming extinct, I guess. That's the idea.
Yes, and especially you see the elephant needs a certain area, a population of elephants, in order to survive. I mean, in a sound way. It needs space. It needs movements. It needs, mating with individuals that are not your close relatives.
Absolutely.
So this is why, because elephants, they don't know the political borders, so they cross freely.
They cross from Ghana
one
to Cote d'Ivoire
and back and forth.
They
you see.
didn't. Wow.
They don't have a passport as such. That's right.
Thank you, Fernando, for sharing some time with us this morning, and we will get involved, especially those of.
This is the City Breakfast Show.